The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who is on a three-day visit to West Asia, has called for urgent steps to restore calm between Israel and Palestine. The appeal comes amid spiraling tensions in the region. Blinken met Israel's top leadership, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, during a visit to Jerusalem. He condemned the attack near a synagogue that put Israel on high alert. Blinken reiterated America's support for expansion of the Abraham Accords. Blinken also said that the accords cannot be a substitute for a two-state solution and reaffirmed that it is the only path forward in the long-running Israel-Palestinian conflict.
We'll also discuss the deteriorating security situation in the West Bank, the ongoing cycle of violence that is claiming innocent lives. It's incumbent on all parties to take urgent steps to de-escalate tensions, establish conditions for the security and stability that both Israelis and Palestinians deserve. As I discussed with both the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister, we'll do the same with President Abbas. The United States stands ready to support the parties in this vital effort.
Blinken also met Israel's President Isaac Herzog and spoke about the ongoing demonstrations in the country over the proposed judicial reform. He urged on building of consensus over the new reform.
Mr. President, your leadership, the clarity of your voice when it comes to working to de-escalate tensions here among communities, the clarity of your voice when it comes to finding a good way forward that builds consensus on the question of judicial reform.
The United States of America is our closest ally. Our bonds with the United States are extremely strong. I would say even transcends politics and times, simply something that is deeply psychological and emotional.
Blinken will be meeting the Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas later today. His visit comes at a time of one of the deadliest periods of fighting in years. And the Israeli military raid last Thursday killed 10 Palestinians in the flashpoint town of Jenin in West Bank, while on Friday a gunman killed 7 people outside a synagogue in East Jerusalem. A day later, a 13-year-old Palestinian boy shot and wounded 2 Israelis in East Jerusalem. The bloodshed has alarmed the Biden administration as it attempts to find common ground with Netanyahu's new right-wing government. For more on this, joining me now on the broadcast is our correspondent Jody Cohen, live from Tel Aviv. Jody, thanks for joining us. Now, Blinken has clearly called for a two-state solution amid rising tensions. How will his comments be received by both parties?
I don't think they will come as a surprise. First of all, in the readout of the agenda from the US administration, part of that said that part of the purpose of this visit was to reaffirm the importance of the two-state solution. But this was a pre-arranged visit before the recent tensions that we've seen have really escalated in the last few days. On Monday, when Secretary of State Blinken completed his trip to Egypt, he gave a statement in which he urged for calm and a de-escalation of tensions on both sides of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Then at lunchtime, he arrived in Israel and he had meetings with Prime Minister Netanyahu, Foreign Minister Cohen, and his 4th meeting with President Herzog since he became the president. He gave statements after each of those meetings. He made similar comments on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as when he gave his statement from Egypt. He also discussed a number of other matters which were on the agenda because, as I said, this was a pre-planned visit. Importantly, as you said, he alluded to the new government's judicial reform plans. Blinken talked about the shared values, suggested that the Israeli protests, i.e. the right for people to make their voices heard, is a strength of Israeli democracy, and that building consensus for the new proposals is the most effective way to ensure that they endure. And Blinken thanked Herzog for his efforts to try to build that consensus. And interestingly, Prime Minister Netanyahu said that Israel will remain a strong democracy.
Absolutely. Jody, what can we expect from Blinken's visit to Ramallah? His meeting with Mahmoud Abbas will be watched closely. How does Israel feel about the same, especially the new right-wing government?
Absolutely. So first thing, Blinken is actually meeting with Defense Minister Gallant and opposition leader Yair Lapid. And around lunchtime, he's going to be traveling to Ramallah for a meeting with Palestinian Authority President Abbas and senior officials from the PA there. And really, he's going to be talking about Israeli-Palestinian relations. He's also going to be talking about US-Palestinian relations. He's going to be talking about Palestinian political reforms, and a priority will, of course, be talking about easing these tensions. With Netanyahu, he talked about the importance of the two-state solution and also upholding the status quo on the Al-Aqsa Temple Mount complex. He's no doubt going to be discussing the same with President Abbas too. He'll also be talking about restoring the important security coordination between the PA and Israel. And in the latest, President Abbas reportedly told the CIA chief that security ties have only partially been cut, that intelligence sharing is continuing, and that these ties can be fully restored, but that his aim in doing this was to moderate settlement expansion.
Right, Jody, thanks so much for all those inputs, and thanks for joining us on the broadcast at this hour.
Thank you.
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.